November 24, 1971, a storm rages over the Pacific Northwest. Somewhere in that dark, violent sky, a man who doesn't exist prepares to jump from a passenger jet. He's calm, methodical, and about to commit one of the most audacious crimes in history. In 1971, a man bought a one-way ticket for $20. He wore a sharp suit, ordered a bourbon, and then calmly told a stewardess he had a bomb. Hours later, he leaped out of the plane with $200,000, disappearing into a freezing storm, never to be seen again. He is the ghost of the skies. He is D.B. Cooper. The story begins aboard Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305, a routine flight from Portland to Seattle. A quiet man in his mid-40s, wearing a dark business suit, a black tie, and sunglasses, sits in the last row. He identifies himself as Dan Cooper. Shortly after takeoff, he summons a flight attendant, Florence Schaffner. He hands her a folded note. Thinking it's just a lonely businessman's phone number, she slips it into her purse. He leans closer and says, "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb." Florence, shaken, retrieves the note. It's written in neat, all-caps lettering, demanding $200,000 in unmarked $20 bills and 4 parachutes. To prove he isn't bluffing, Cooper opens his briefcase just enough for her to see a terrifying cluster of red cylinders, wires, and a battery. His demeanor is what made the situation so unnerving. He wasn't frantic or aggressive. He was polite, almost a gentleman. He even insisted on paying his tab for the bourbon and soda he'd been drinking. He was a polite terror, a calm orchestrator of chaos at 30,000 feet. The plane began to circle Seattle-Tacoma Airport. On the ground, a frantic scramble ensued. The FBI worked with the airline to gather his demands. Trucks delivered knapsacks filled with the cash, 10,000 marked $20 bills and the 4 parachutes he requested. Once the exchange was complete, Cooper allowed all 36 passengers and 2 flight attendants to deplane. They were completely unaware of the life-or-death drama that had unfolded just feet away from them. Only the flight crew and Cooper himself remained on board. The hijacker's plan was far from over. He gave the pilots a new, bizarre set of instructions. They were to fly south, toward Mexico City, but at a low altitude of 10,000 feet, at a slow speed, and with the landing gear and flaps down. This made the Boeing 727 sluggish and unstable, perfect for a jump. As the plane lumbered through the night sky, Cooper ordered the remaining crew to the cockpit. He wanted to be alone. In the empty cabin, he methodically prepared for his escape. He tied the heavy money bags to his body and strapped on a parachute. Then, he walked to the back of the plane and began the precarious process of lowering the aft air stair, a set of stairs at the tail of the aircraft. At approximately 8:13 p.m., somewhere between Seattle and Reno, over the rugged, forested terrain of southwestern Washington, the pilots felt a sudden upward jolt in the cockpit. The pressure in the cabin changed. He was gone. D.B. Cooper had stepped off the stairs and into the howling wind, plunging into a pitch-black, freezing storm with his fortune. He had vanished into oblivion. What followed was one of the most extensive and expensive manhunts in U.S. history. The FBI, with help from the military, scoured the dense snow-covered forests where they believed he might have landed. They searched on foot, with helicopters, and even a submarine to check a local lake, but they found nothing. No body, no parachute, no briefcase, no money. It was as if the man had evaporated. Years turned into decades. The case grew cold, but it never entirely went away. Then, in 1980, a young boy camping with his family along the Columbia River found a rotting bundle of cash buried in the sand. The serial numbers matched the ransom money given to Cooper. It was just under $6,000, a tiny fraction of the total, and that was it. The only other significant clue was the black clip-on tie he left behind on the plane. Decades later, particle analysis found traces of rare earth elements, suggesting he may have worked in a very specific chemical or aerospace industry. But these were just fragments, whispers in a case that had gone silent. In 2016, after 45 years of dead ends, the FBI officially closed its active investigation. So, who was D.B. Cooper? Did he survive the fall? A jump at that altitude, in those conditions, was considered by experts to be almost certainly fatal. But what if he wasn't just a desperate amateur? What if he was an experienced paratrooper, a survivalist who knew exactly what he was doing? The name Don Cooper was an alias, a dead end. To this day, his true identity remains unknown. He pulled off the perfect crime, and in doing so, became a legend, an American folk hero who beat the system and got away. The man who never existed remains the perfect mystery. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more unsolved stories.